Hi, friends, it's Salt. If you're new here, this channel is all about salt. Salt is the alchemical element of transformation. Salt cleanses, it heals, and it transmutes energy just like you do. This channel finds the rare archetypes who move through life differently. So if you found this, I'm really honored to have you and really just be one of the few who gets to see and reflect you properly. The people I'm talking to today, I feel like really proud of immediately. The essence of your growth and you is very strong. And I see so clearly the energy of growth from who you've been and who sits with me today here. Although I'm picking up that this group of people has a lot more that they want to work on from a growth perspective, when I sit with all that you've already done, it feels like you've climbed like Mount Everest a few times in your life. So just really proud is like the initial feeling that's coming through today. You should feel proud. I definitely do right away. I'm getting that you might be going through what feels like a sacred pause window. I sense not a lot of movement externally, but a ton is going on beneath the surface that kind of feels invisible. I think I've channeled for this group of individuals in the past. So I'm just kind of sensing this frustration you might be having with not seeing your growth, but I want to assure you that it's happening beneath the surface. This is showing up in fatigue, tiredness. You may not feel as warranted, but trust me when I say that there is so much purging and so much invisible integration that's happening. That's a really big reason that you're tired or you're fatigued or you tire so easily right now at this time. So just wanted to kind of bring some light to that. So, kind of a strange message came through to start. This kind of I feel really reluctant to relay these really oddly specific ones that spirit gives me sometimes. There are times I don't exactly understand the connection with the message here, or I think of it maybe later, but I hope that others with these specific messages don't get discouraged when the details don't land. I don't think the specifics need to necessarily land for you to mean that it's meant for you. Sometimes I feel like what the specifics do are just help those who are more reluctant to open up to spirit, and that's really the intention behind the details. So I always like to preface some details or whenever I feel like reluctancy come up with a detail, but this one's very odd. Also, sometimes I feel like spirit plays little games with me to give me the most out of pocket or weird messages. So people might think that I'm crazy, but what I'm being shown is a TV that is changing in the middle of something, but at the best part. So you're watching something and the TV just changes to open another application, to exit, something happens that disrupts it. What I'm picking up from this is you could maybe have a tendency to misplace remotes frequently. Like you often forget it's near or like where it's in proximity to you. Maybe you accidentally like hit it, roll onto it, and that changes things frequently and disrupts you, kind of like brings your attention back to it because you misplace this thing very often. I'm also seeing, oddly enough, like a partner or some sort of external person that is significant to this. Someone close to you maybe will take this remote or this device and guard it from you. This could also be reversed, but I feel like someone is frustrated with your tendency to do this, and so they take control of the technology in this instance. So take with that what you will. The first card that I pulled today is Close the Tab Oracle card. And I'm kind of getting that there are mental tabs open to this person that came through in that specific message or that dynamic. I feel there is a waiting for them to understand you in some way or acknowledge your growth. I'm also just like getting clarity about that message being like, they don't understand that the remote is irrelevant and like it's a silly piece of of equipment and, monitoring it seems like such a nuance, such a thing that doesn't need to really matter, and wanting to explain that to them in some way, or just a clear picture of that misunderstanding that goes on between the dynamics. So I think that this reading is going to centralize around a person that is separate to you. In my astrology pool, I got two important placements or transits, however you want to interpret it, that came through that Spirit wants to highlight. I pulled Mercury in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. I'll leave the notes in the description about that for you, just so you have that for your reference. What I'm getting from this energy today and from these cards that came through is it feels like you are finally in a space of seeing your growth, even with that sense of frustration that I'm picking up on. What seems to be really small changes that you would never do in the past, you're starting to bring acknowledgement to. You're starting to see that contrast of past you versus present you. But there is still a part of you that heavily desires to be seen. And I see some challenges with that as you're integrating those healing parts of yourself still. The person that I'm channeling for you today feels really significant to you. Like they have been a deep catalyst for a lot of your inner work. I'm kind of sensing them feeling a lot of your growth and planning some sort of like reemergence now that they feel you've shifted integral parts of yourself they no longer have access to. It seems like a similar dynamic of yesterday's reading, which is that this person has some control tendencies, perhaps, and they just like that access, that feeling they get from having that control in whatever way gives them peace. So what I'm getting is that there is a clear test coming from this person's return, and it's coming from your guides and the universe. I often hate to use the word tests, but because it feels so silly, but really often the universe acts with testing to confirm energy and your healing journey. So that's why people can't lie about their growth, because it mirrors the frequency you're actually omitting. You can't lie about this kind of thing. It doesn't work that way. The way that it works is that once the universe, if you're not familiar, which I'm sure a lot of you are, but once the universe feels that you're kind of omitting a different energy, like say you reach an integral part of your path and you're aligning to a new frequency, a new energy, the universe responds to that immediately, and it starts micro testing you to ensure that what you're omitting is correct, and that it's stabilized. So it really doesn't want to give you something that's not stabilized. So it tests you to confirm how stable that healing frequency is. That's why healing is often so hard, is like we're constantly being tested in this space of discomfort. So what happens for this timeline for you is it will bring back old patterns that used to get a reaction from you to see if you respond differently. And it's going to do that through new people, through old people, through similar situations that mirror reactions that it's gotten in the past. And really, the testing is just to ensure that you're stabilized in what you're omitting, because it does sense that. So getting tested is actually a really great thing. It's showing your progress to you in some way, even though it does cause a little bit of friction, right? With this person, the test that I'm seeing will come from how much energy you leak into explaining your clarity and your new growth that you have mentally processed in some way. So you're becoming clear about it and you want to share those ideas, share that light with someone. With Mercury and Leo, I feel your lesson here is a desire. It's showing up in a desire to explain how much you shine. You want this person to see you much different than your older self and to validate that, because they have that experience with your past self that was less healed than where you're standing now. The problem I'm seeing is that no real validation can come from this person, and it won't fully resonate with you as you try to obtain it. So as you begin explaining to this, even with them giving some sort of encouragement or acknowledgement, it won't feel fully resonant because it needs to come from within. It can't come from this person, even though you want it so badly from this person. So the test is kind of in that mismatch of what you want and what you actually need. The moment you begin to explain your reasoning or growth is the moment you begin to re-leak energy back to them, and you won't be, falling back into old patterns. Nothing bad will come of this. In fact, I do think healing comes from repetition and going back to things and in a new light and in a new energy and digging up deeper things that we need to release. So there's nothing wrong with it if you do this, but just know that the moment you begin to explain is that moment that there will be more tests as a result rather than less, because your energy that you're omitting is a little bit confusing. So the Pluto in Aquarius transit here, I think, is the most important piece of this reading. I think it's asking you to disrupt patterns through emotional sovereignty and detachment. So Aquarius energy is feeling really significant here. But I think what Spirit is trying to ask of you through this message is, in this test, whether it's this person or a similar experience to this person that brings up a similar feeling, is can you simply just be sovereign in your own growth and not need to explain it, rationalize it, have someone see it? Can you see it in yourself? And that's really coming through really clearly today. And I hope this helps. Someone told me that my outro felt really sales pitchy. And so here is my new outro that just tells you all that I love you and that I read each and every comment. And I'm so happy that you all are here with me. Cheers, friends.